Hi everyone. If you've ever thought about writing a LitRPG novel but felt overwhelmed by the process, this video might be for you. Today I'm showing you how you can start a LitRPG novel in just 30 minutes using one of the coolest AI writing tools out there, Sudowrite. Now, I know what you're thinking. Can I really start a novel that fast? Yes, you can. It's all about using the right tool and process, and trust me, Sudowrite changes things. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned writer, this tool takes the heavy lifting out of the writing process so you can focus on what you love most, creating an awesome story. So grab your coffee, your imagination, and let's dive in. So, do you think writing a LitRPG takes days to get started? Let's find out. Challenge accepted. Let me show you how it's done in half an hour, step by step. So first things first, we have to think about our world building and plot. With LitRPG, your world needs rules, levels, and challenges. Just like a game, Sudowrite helps you brainstorm these unique elements in minutes. Where do we start first? Well, maybe we don't want to do just any LitRPG. Let's go crazy. Let's do wild. How about instead of being a hero, our protagonist becomes a reincarnated dungeon trap? I'm talking an actual spike pit. And he has to learn to evolve by absorbing the energy of adventurers that fall into him. Along the way, he can upgrade into more sophisticated traps like a flamethrower, or he's able to cast illusions. All the while, our protagonist is trying to move up in the dungeon hierarchy. Okay, so we have an idea. What to do with it? There's not enough to fill out Story Bible, or is there? Sudowrite has a new feature that allows us to import our shiny new story ideas or partial manuscripts from a document. I'll show you a quick example. Pull up Notepad and jot down everything you want on it, from random thoughts, organized notes about world building, or character profiles. Got your Notepad or Word document open? Let's start typing. The protagonist, after dying in an ordinary world, finds themselves reincarnated in a fantasy dungeon as a basic spike pit. But in this dungeon, traps have a hierarchy and sentience. The more adventurers they ensnare, the more powerful they become, earning experience points like a player in an RPG. The protagonist must rise through the ranks of dungeon traps while navigating a web of rival traps, dungeon politics, and devious adventurers. Key mechanics: absorption and evolution. Each time the protagonist claims an adventurer, whether through direct damage or causing them to trip into other traps, they gain essence, a type of experience that allows them to upgrade. As they evolve, they can choose from a skill tree of increasingly deadly or creative traps. Trap synergy. The protagonist can form alliances with other traps. Dungeon politics. The dungeon itself is alive, with different levels ruled by powerful boss monsters, sentient traps, and occasionally meddling conjurers. Adventurer classes. Not all adventurers are the same. Some are more cautious and use detection spells, while others rely on brute force. The protagonist has to adapt their trap style depending on the adventurers passing through. Maybe even develop trap skills specifically to counter these adventurers' abilities. Moral quandary. As the protagonist grows more powerful, they begin to encounter adventurers who remind them of their former life. This leads to inner conflict. Should they go easy on certain adventurers or even try to communicate with them? These moral decisions could impact how they evolve, potentially leading to alternate paths in the skill tree, such as more supportive traps that protect dungeon allies. Now, I kinda got ahead of myself. I should have first put our genre, which is LitRPG. Also, it doesn't hurt to copy pasta in the style I'm using. There's no consequence if you don't put it in your document. I'm just being extra here. Now about our protagonist. What in the world do you call a spike pit trap? Maybe spiky? Yeah, that'll work. Let's change the point of view to first person. This way our readers can immerse themselves better in the narrative. Here's the style, and I'll copy paste it below the video. Spiky's close third person past tense POV. Short punchy sentences, sharp dialogue, intense tone, cinematic feeling, gameplay mechanic, system notifications, gaming skills, irreverent and humorous gamer voice, vivid game world details, heavy modern dialogue, stripped naked dialogue, shun introspective wrap-up, emphasis on attribute stats, video game dungeon environment. I like the humorous gamer voice because I want this novel to be fun. Our protagonist has to have a sense of humor, or it'll get real boring if all Spiky does is brood like a grumpy edgelord. The stripped naked dialogue portion is a tip from John Creason, a Sudowrite teacher. It really helps to remove some of the purple prose from the dialogue. The shun introspective wrap-up portion is because AI models love to make sappy happy endings for all. Sometimes they even end the story for you with a thought-provoking rant that nobody asked for. We're all in this together. Nope. Go out and touch grass AI because we want none of that. Add +15 to your wisdom stat if you noticed I changed the end a little. I decided to go with video game dungeon environment because Spiky isn't going to move out of the dungeon. At least not for now. Spiky is going to stay put, so we don't want the AI to suddenly put him outside near a waterfall. Which might sound sick, but it won't work out well for our Spiky. Okay, now let's add something else to our document to beef it up just a tiny bit more. How about a possible opening scene that we can later flesh out? Sound good? Hopefully you think so too, otherwise I'm just going to look silly to the masses. So picture this. Spiky wakes up disoriented, realizing they can't move. They're stuck in a cold stone floor, staring up at the entrance of the dungeon. Their thoughts are soon interrupted by the ominous voice of the dungeon's AI, an ancient, sarcastic entity that oversees all traps. Welcome, newbie. You've been assigned as a spike pit. Try to not screw up. And their first adventurer group is a bunch of overconfident low-levels who don't even notice the spike pit trap until it's too late. For those that haven't seen it in action, Import Your Novel is a new beta feature that rolled out about 10 days ago. You can use it to import a completed manuscript or work in progress to fill in your story Bible automatically. Here are some key updates since then. Import Novel now generates an even more robust set of characters, including both major and minor characters detected. The AI should now stick closer to your character's original physical attributes and descriptions as provided in the source material. The AI is also now more focused on generating a well-rounded selection of world-building elements from the original text. So, how do you import your novel or work in progress? To import a novel into Sudowrite, follow these steps. Click the Import button in the upper left corner of your Sudowrite homepage. Drag a file into the import modal or click Browse to select a file from your computer. Wait for the import process to complete, typically a few minutes, but may take up to 10 minutes for complex manuscripts. The Import Novel feature will automatically create a new Sudowrite project and populate the story Bible with essential components, including characters, world-building elements, and a detailed outline. It supports TXT, doc, docs, RTF, and odd file types and is optimized for documents up to 120,000 words. Let's pop down to the style box. This is where you pick the perfect model for your story. A lot of Sudowrite users wanted a clearer understanding of when we should use each prose mode or AI model. And the Sudowrite team did their magic and created a new feature. The new prose mode selector gives you detailed model ratings, so you'll always know what each option is best for. And you can always choose the right one for whatever story you're working on. I highly recommend checking out the featured styles to Story Bible, which will let you generate vibe-appropriate prose instantly. Don't like one but like some parts of another? Mix and match and turn those styles into a custom style. Let's take a look at the synopsis a bit. I'll have to manually fix some things like changing the protagonist to Spiky. Another thing I should do is decide if I want the AI to generate Spiky's untimely demise, or manually change it to something fun. I'll probably change it to Spiky having an unexpected meeting with the ice guy truck to keep up with tropes. Reading a bit lower down we can see that the moral quandary stuff is in there. I'm still on the fence about that because I dislike making my characters entirely good or bad. Morally gray characters for the win. Dropping even further down, we move on to the characters in Story Bible. Because I didn't have a clue what to name the protagonist, which we now know is called Spiky, the Import Novel feature went ahead and generated characters for us. Now we can keep these characters, change them, add more characters or traits, or even delete them. The decision to do so is in our hands. Remember, Sudowrite is an amazing tool, but we are the authors and in control of our narrative. Not a fan of the name your AI partner suggested? Maybe it feels too generic or doesn't fit your genre. Don't hesitate to change or delete it. Remember, Sudowrite is your creative assistant, but you hold the reins. The only limit is your imagination, and we both know that can take a writer to incredible places. This is where the magic happens. As I mentioned before, you're not bound by any suggestion or default. If the name doesn't resonate, change it. If the character feels off, tweak their backstory, class, or even their species. Sudowrite gives you a starting point, but the real magic comes when you inject your unique vision. Need a darker world? Adjust the setting. Want your characters to have more grit? Add those layers. The tools are there. It's up to you to make them into art. Now that you've seen how easy it is to adjust names, characters, and world building to fit your LitRPG, we're just scratching the surface. In the next video, we'll dive into outlining your story and weaving in subplots to add depth and intrigue. And in the final video, we'll bring everything together so you can start crafting your own LitRPG with the methods we've covered. If you found this helpful, please give the video a like and consider subscribing for more tips on leveling up your writing. I'd love to hear your thoughts or questions in the comments.